Office politics tips that will save your career. I once got demoted without a word. No feedback, no warning, just a slow fade out from key meetings, less eye contact from the boss, and one day, my name off the project lead. That's when I realized, office politics isn't something you opt into. It's the air you breathe the moment you enter the building. Whether you play or not, the game plays you. People talk about being professional, working hard, staying out of drama. But that's not how promotions are decided. That's not how alliances are built. And it sure as hell isn't how power works. If you think office politics is beneath you, ask yourself why the people above you mastered it. There's no off switch for human nature psychology. No room in the system for those who pretend the game doesn't exist. Office politics isn't about gossip or fake smiles. It's about understanding unspoken social rules, decoding power dynamics, and navigating invisible loyalties that shape your fate. If you're not reading the room, someone else is reading it for you, and writing your ending. It's not enough to know your job. You have to know your arena. I started studying people, not their words, their moves. Who they align with, when they speak up, who they never contradict. I learned that truth doesn't matter as much as timing. That silence can be loyalty. That being right at the wrong time makes you a threat. And the moment you expose someone's game before you have leverage, they'll turn the system on you to protect their role. You think you're safe because your intentions are good? That's the most dangerous illusion. Because while you explain yourself, someone else is branding you a problem. While you wait for fairness, they're rewriting the script. Office politics is a power game wrapped in polite language. And if you don't learn the rules, your career becomes collateral damage. The first rule? Stop assuming everyone is rational. People aren't motivated by logic. They're driven by fear, ego, and status. If someone feels threatened by you, it doesn't matter how helpful you are. If your competence exposes their insecurity, they'll find subtle ways to isolate you. It won't be open war. It'll be ghosting your ideas, misrepresenting your tone, praising you in public while removing your influence in private. This is where emotional intelligence separates survivors from casualties. You have to sense the emotional currents, not just the surface facts. Ask yourself, what fear is driving this person? What wound are they protecting? What role do I play in their personal narrative? If you challenge their identity, even by accident, their reaction will be primal. And most of the time, they won't even know why they're resisting you. Social hierarchy explained simply. It's not about rank, it's about emotional territory. Some people claim power by being loud, others by being liked, others by controlling access to information. If you threaten any of those, you'll trigger a defense mechanism. They'll gossip, stall, frame you as not a team player. This isn't childish, it's survival mindset cloaked in adult behavior. Now here's the twist. The people who rise aren't always the smartest. They're the ones who know how to play the long game. Game theory in real life means knowing when to lose a battle to win trust. Knowing when to let someone else take credit because you're building a debt. Power isn't seized, it's accumulated in whispers, alliances, and well-timed silence. This is where Muta 1 comes in, the part of you that observes without reacting. The inner lens that asks, am I playing my game, or being used as a piece in someone else's? Because most people in offices don't lose because they're wrong. They lose because they walk into traps laid by invisible scripts. Manipulation tactics don't look like manipulation. They look like helpful suggestions, vague feedback, or someone just checking in after your mistake. You need street-smart skills to see through that. Not cynicism, clarity. There's always a deeper motive. Even kindness can be currency. Compliments can be camouflage. And favors can be future leverage. The moment you assume a gesture is pure, you stop seeing the strings attached. And the more you need approval, the easier you are to steer. Want to learn how to read people? Watch what they react to emotionally. What shuts them down? What lights them up? Who do they defer to when things get tense? That's your map. In every room, there's a power grid: who influences whom, who protects whom, and who's expendable. Your job is to never be the last to see where you stand. And don't confuse visibility with safety. Being noticed can be a threat if you shine in the wrong direction. Before you speak up in meetings, ask, who benefits if this idea goes through? Who loses power if it does? If the answer is unclear, maybe it's not time to speak. Silence isn't weakness, it's a weapon when timed right. Manipulation doesn't always come from above. Sometimes it's lateral. From peers who smile in the hallway but sabotage you behind closed doors. The worst kind is the subtle kind. You'll hear it in phrases like, "I just thought you should know," or, "Some people are saying." That's not information, it's a test. And if you react emotionally, they've confirmed your buttons. Hold your ground, not by fighting, but by watching. Waiting, learning the terrain until your next move is unmissable. You can't fight shadows with noise. The smarter way is to become unprovocable. Let them underestimate you. Let them think you didn't catch the subtext. That's when they reveal more. When you don't defend yourself immediately, people get sloppy with their tactics. They push a bit further, trying to get a reaction. That's when you map their patterns. Social survival skills aren't about pleasing everyone. They're about knowing who you are in any room, and what story people are building around you. Because people will build stories. That's human nature psychology. We explain what we don't understand by assigning motives. And if you don't feed the right narrative, they'll create one that makes sense to them, not to you. So what do you feed them? Calm clarity, strategic humility. Let them feel safe around you, even if you're 10 steps ahead. That's how you survive without playing dirty. That's how you build quiet power, the kind that isn't threatened by chaos, because it's not built on performance, but perception. Now, ask yourself this. Have you ever felt invisible at work? Like you do everything right, but no one seems to remember it later? That's not a skill problem. That's a positioning problem. Office politics tips that actually work aren't about changing your behavior, they're about changing your context. Start with this. Whose protection are you under? If no one with influence would fight for you behind closed doors, you're vulnerable. Doesn't matter how competent you are. In every social structure, protection equals power. Find those whose goals align with yours, and become useful to their mission. Not in a way that erases you, but in a way that anchors you in their ecosystem. Because in the end, it's not just about playing the game. It's about knowing which game is being played. Sometimes, you're not in a meritocracy. You're in a loyalty economy. Other times, you're in a sabotage loop, where standing out is a threat to the fragile equilibrium. Either way, you need to adapt without losing your core. This isn't selling out, it's staying alive. And here's the truth no one says out loud. The people who play office politics well aren't always the ones who love conflict. They're just the ones who saw early that conflict was inevitable, and chose to play with their eyes open. They learned how to win in life by learning how to lose strategically. They took emotional hits, adjusted, and came back quieter but smarter. They stopped expecting fairness, not because they gave up on justice, but because they realized fairness is a lagging indicator. It shows up too late. So they stopped waiting for it, and started building leverage instead. Social hierarchy isn't about who deserves more, it's about who's better at seeing invisible moves. You want to protect your future? Study power in silence. Study who people listen to when they're scared. Who controls language? Who rewrites the past when the present is uncomfortable? That's where the real decisions are made. Not in memos, but in micro moments. Psychological manipulation isn't always dark. Sometimes it's dressed in, "We just want what's best." It sounds like support until you notice how it always leads back to their control. The only defense is internal. Knowing your values so well that you can flex without breaking. And maybe that's the hardest part. Staying human in systems that reward performance over integrity. Keeping your softness while learning the hardness of reality. But that's what Muta 1 is about, not becoming cold, but becoming conscious. It teaches you to pause before reacting, to scan before engaging, to watch the ripple before diving in. It's not fear, it's awareness, the kind that saves your career not by avoiding conflict, but by mastering the terrain. Because in the end, office politics doesn't corrupt you. It reveals you. It shows you where you're still naive, where your boundaries leak, where your ego wants validation. And once you see that, you stop being a pawn. And maybe, just maybe, that's when you become something else entirely. Something people can't quite predict, but definitely can't ignore.